Hello students of 11 Commerce, welcome back to your business studies class. I hope you all are doing good at home. Today's class will be from Unit 3. Okay, Unit 3 is all about public, private, and global enterprises. All right, so in this Unit 3, you will learn about the three sectors of a business enterprises. All right, that is all about public, private, and global enterprises. All right, so to start off, okay, first of all, you need to understand, what is private sector and public sector, all right? So, I'm just going to highlight the meaning, the concept of what is private sector and public sector, all right? So I'm going to do a comparison on both these sectors, all right? So when I do this comparison, you will be able to understand, the meaning and the concept of these two sectors clearly, all right? So the comparison is just a review on these sectors. So first of all, let's look to what is private sector, all right? So here, private sector is a profit motive, okay? The motive, okay, the main essential and the top objectives of these private enterprises is to earn a profit, all right? And it's not just a normal profit, okay, but this private sector, okay, they aim to increase their sales, all right? They aim to maximize their sales, all right? So that is their top priority, okay? Private sector, they want to, increase and maximize their profit, all right? So profit earning is their first motive, all right? And also private ownership, okay? Private sector is, it's all about private ownership. So when we use the word ownership, okay, we are referring to one individual, all right? An individual running his or her own business, all right? So this private ownership is owned, controlled, and managed by the private sector alone, all right? So when I use the word owned, okay, owned means, whatever profit maximization, okay, whatever profit the sector earns under their business organization, they keep their capital by themselves, all right? In a sense, this private sector, they utilize the capital by themselves. They do not share with any industries, all right? And control, all right? Control means decision making, all right? So whenever the sector, the public sector, they are in need to make a decision, they make the decision by themselves. They don't need the help of any other industry, nor the government interferes, all right? So every decision, from the smallest to the biggest decision, they deal it by themselves, okay? And manage, okay? So management of their business enterprises, all right? All the profit and the losses, risks, whatever that comes their way in their own industry, they manage by themselves, all right? So here, private sector is all about a private ownership. That means having his own individual business enterprises, and it is owned, controlled, and managed by the individual, by the private sector alone, all right? And also it is managed by private entrepreneurs, all right? Here, private sector, private enterprises, all right? The business are managed by the private entrepreneurs alone, okay? There is no intervention, okay? There is no intervention from the government side, all right? They are free to make decisions. They are free to utilize however inputs they want to put up in their own sector, all right? They are free from the intervention of the government, all right? So that is what managed by the private entrepreneur is all about. And also they have, this public sector, they are not accountable, okay? They are not accountable to the public at all right? Like I mentioned, whatever, profits, okay? How much profit they earn in their business enterprises, every profit are being utilized and kept by their private sector alone, all right? Same thing with the losses, okay? If there is any losses in their sector, then they'll have to deal by themselves, all right? So they don't have to report back to the public because they don't belong to public. They belong to their private sector. They have their own private business, all right, enterprise. So this private sector, okay, they can be organized. They can be organized in 6 ways. In other words, okay, there are 6 types of private sector, all right? I repeat, there are 6 types of private sectors and they are sole proprietorship, okay? The second one is partnership, and the third one, joint Hindu family business. The other one is joint venture, and next, joint stock company, and lastly, cooperative enterprises, all right? I'm going to explain of these types in our next topic, all right? So moving on, let's see what is a private sector, okay? So here, private sector, all right? So when you see the word public, okay, what comes to your mind when you see the word public? I assume that, you'll be having something in your mind, and that is government, right? So this public sector, okay, this public sector is all about a government sector, all right? Please keep that in your mind. Public sector deals with government services and government sectors. So here, public sector, it is a public service, right? It is a public service, means they are, government take control, okay? Government take control over the public services. That means their main aims and objectives is to give services to the society, all right? Government, their objectives, okay? They have a top priority, and that priority is how to serve the society, all right? So serving society in the sense providing them ample goods and services, all right? Ample goods and services to the customers, all right? So that is their motive. But whereas in private sector, okay, in private sector, their motive was to maximize their profit, right? But when we look into this sector, okay, into this public sector, their motive is to give good services to the customers, to its customers, all right? Meager profit margin, all right? So here, this public sector, they also emphasize on having only meager profit margin, all right? In a sense, this sector, okay, they aim to have they aim to earn profit. Obviously, no doubt about it. Okay, they earn profit, but the way they earn profit is very less compared to this sector, to private sector. All right. Let me just make it clear for you. Okay, public sector, they obviously earn a profit. All right, but the profit, when we compare the profit, it is very less compared to the private sector, because private sector, they focus on maximizing their profit, right? So here, they earn a meager profit margin by, why? Because they sell their goods and services, okay, at a very minimum rate to its customers. Why? Because they want to give good quality products to its customers at a very reasonable prices. In that way, they are also serving the society in an efficient way, all right? And yes, the next one is we have state ownership, all right? So here, everything is being managed by the government here, since we are dealing with the government sector. So here, state ownership is referring to the ownership, okay? Everything that is owned, controlled, and managed, it is managed, it is organized by the government alone, all right? So, state ownership, owned, okay? Owned, like I mentioned earlier, the whatever capital the business enterprises, the sector, they earn, okay? Every profit will go to the government alone, all right? Government supplies money, okay, to this sector. Whenever they need money, they supply finances to the public sector. At the same time, this sector, when they generate revenue, they always give back to the government. So in a way, they both help each other, all right? And control, okay? This sector, it is also controlled by the government, all right? It is controlled by the government in a sense, decision making, okay? When it comes to decision making, okay? In business industry, there are, plenty of decisions that need to be made, right? So all those, from small to the biggest decision, the government take controls over it with the help of the board of directors, okay? Or with the top bureaucrats, they make decisions, all right? And manage. So here, management of the business enterprises, management of public sector is done by the top officials, by the top managers, all right? And top managers, as in, it is managed by the government alone. You got it? So the next one is public accountability, all right? So here, whatever government does, okay, like I mentioned here, it is for the society, right? Whatever government does, they are doing it for the society. So at the end, the government is accountable with whatever works that they do. The government need to report it back to the public, all right? So here, government takes prior care, okay? Government takes prior care in terms of public sector, all right? So that is how, this government are accountable to the public sector, all right? I hope you got the differences. Down below here, okay, we have some public sector which can be organized as, or in other words, there are three types, okay? Three types of public sector, all right? Number one is departmental undertaking. Number two, statutory corporation. And number three is government company, all right? So, these three types, I'm going to explain it to you further in our next topic, all right? So, before I, just go into the conclusion of what is private and public sector, okay, I'm just going to give you an example of why these two sector is necessary, okay? An example will be, when two pair of blades are joined together, okay? When two blades are joined together, they make a pair of scissors. Yes or no? Let me repeat again. When two blades, they are joined together, they make a pair of scissors. And the scissor is workable, right? In the same way, okay, in the business industry, they need private sector and public sector, okay? They both need each other in the sense, business industry is a combination of both this sector, all right? So when they unite together and they work together, it is better for the upliftment of both the sectors, all right? So I hope, class, you are clear with the concept of what is private sector and public sector. So class, let's move on to our next topic, okay? So students, if you are watching this, I want you to grab hold of your textbook, okay? It will be very convenient for you if you listen to my lecture along with your textbook so that, we both are able to flow together, all right? So, yeah, the next topic is about the features of private sector, all right? But before I go there, let me just highlight you again, okay, what is the private sector, all All right, it's just a reminder for you. So now we know that what is private sector, right? When an individual, he runs his own business enterprises, that is a private sector. All right, and we know that their motive is to maximize their sales, that is to increase their sale. All right, how are they going to get a profit maximization? That is the motive of a private sector, right? And there is no intervention from the government side. They are free to decide. They are free to invest in any area that they want to. All right, so when an enterprise, okay, they run his or her business, that is a private sector, okay, private enterprise. Some of the examples of these private sectors are, I'm sure you have heard about this Ambani Group and Tata Group, right? So the Ambani Group, they also have an enterprises, okay? And those enterprises are Reliance Capital, Reliance Communication, Reliance Power, Reliance Entertainment, Reliance Health, and so on. Okay, they have many business enterprises. All right. So, and also with this Ratan Tata Group. Okay, I'm sure you have heard about those groups. So they also have their own business enterprises like Tata Capital, Tata Communication, Tata Power, Tata Steel, and so on. All right. So these are the few examples of the private sectors. All right, where they run their own business enterprises. All right. So let's move on to the features. Okay, there are 5 features that is mentioned in your textbook. So let's have a look at the first one, profit motive. All right, so we have already learned in the concept what is profit motive, right? Profit motive, as in their only objective, first and the foremost objectives is to earn a profit. All right, so that they are able to expand and sustain their business enterprises. All right, so their object is to earn a profit. All right. The second features talks about a private ownership. All right, private ownership here. Private ownership, it's all about one owner. All right, one owner. So here in private sector, we only have one owner, and everything is being owned, controlled, and managed by the private sector alone, by the individual alone. All right, there is no intervention from the government side. The third features is profit as evidence of success. So class, see, whenever the private sector, okay, blooms in their business industry, we will have an idea that they are having a great success because they are able to generate a lot of profit. All right. So when we see in the private sector, that they are able to achieve their objectives, that means there is a profit maximization in their business sector. All right. Number 4 is a private management. Okay, here the business enterprises, okay, they manage their own business. Like I mentioned, no government intervention here. All right, whatever decision or management that they want to do, they do it by themselves. All right, private management is all about when they manage their own enterprises without interference from any other sectors. Okay, the last feature is less political intervention. So this is obviously going to be a less political intervention because the government does not interfere at all. Okay, everything is being managed by the private sector alone. All right, so they are free from all those government rules and regulations, and they are able to cope up with whatever business plans that they do. They are free to decide on their own. All right. So class, these are the few features of this private sector. All right. So let me just do a quick review on what we have just finished now. All right, just for you to understand in a better way. So quickly, the first one was profit motive, right? So we know that the profit motive means the objective. They have an objective to achieve. So So that objective is to maximize their profit. Private ownership means one ownership, all right? They just have one ownership. Everything is being owned, controlled, and managed by the government alone. By the private sector alone, all right? Profit as evidence of success. So whenever we see any kind of success, okay, any kind of success under this sector, it means that they are able to generate a lot of profit. They are able to maximize their profit. Number 4, private management. So their business enterprises, everything is being managed by the private sector alone. All right. And lastly, less political intervention. They are free to do any kind of enterprises, whatever they want to do without the interference of the government. All right. So class, this is where we end our first part of this class. We will continue the rest of the topic in our next class. Thank you.